That's where it all started out here. That was our lab, our office, our shop, everything. So that was the beginning of the wastewater treatment facility for town of Camp Verde at that time. That was in '84. Behind me to my left and to my right are the old lagoons that have been refurbished to sand drying beds. So these were lagoons, they were deeper, and they pumped the water straight from, there's an outlet at the corner of this one here. They pumped it into that from town. The sewer came directly into the lagoons and was distributed to these two lagoons that are behind me. But it's come a long ways from that to what we have now. Because these lagoons worked fine for a long time, for 20, 25, 30 years. And now we have a new plant. I'm the wastewater division manager. Started off doing just what Justin did, was the labs. I did that for 5 years. I've been the manager for right at 2 years now. My background though before that was construction. I went to college and got a drafting technology degree for architectural, mechanical, survey, that's civil, but I don't use that now. I mean, I use some of the basics, you know, but basically the math and the science part of it. When I had my own business, one of the guys that works out here worked for me for 14 years, and he kept bugging me to apply for a job out here, so I finally did, and they hired me. So I had no idea what I was getting into, but actually it's probably one of the better jobs you could have. I mean, it's the same thing every day, but it's totally different every day too. So we look forward to coming to work.
Before this, I worked for Yavapai County Jail. It's kind of exciting. I was getting more in knowing more of this kind of stuff going on, and I wanted to know more about it. So I came out on a Sunday and did a tour with the boss here now, and it seemed pretty nice to me. I liked what was going on. Most people think it's flush toilet and that's it, but there's so much more to where it goes through, and it's pretty cool. I like it.
So we have two groups here. We have our maintenance guys that work 5 8-hour days from 6 to 2:30, and then we have our lab guys that work from 6 to 4:30, and then myself and Marshall, we split 6 to 4:30. I do Monday through Thursday, and he does Tuesday through Friday, so that we're out here. We have Monday covered and Friday covered as well.
And I'm excited. I like doing it every day. I like get up in the morning. I like going to work. Not you know, oh, I gotta go to work now. You know, it's actually fun coming here.
When I first started out here, there was 2 existing lagoons that were used, and that was it. They had the little floats with blades on them that flew up the water, and they moved those around with a little rowboat. 2 guys would go out in a rowboat and move those around. That was the technology then. Now, water comes in, it's contained in a concrete vault, basically. Huge vault. It has 3 separate areas, air introduced sort of thing. So the technology has changed a lot. I mean, lagoons are still used in the state, and they're great for those purposes, but when you get to a certain point, that no longer works, and you have to modify things, and that's what we've done over the years. So, and that was done right at 11 years ago with the plant, so with the new plant. Waste activated sludge, which the plant, the tribe, their sewer plant only went to a certain point. They don't have a belt press like we do. So they would take it to a certain point, and then they would bring it out here and dump it. That black film that you see out there, that's WAS that we've accepted from other facilities. Then we'll come out here and we'll just scrape it up, and then we'll take it up there and dry it on the concrete for a little bit longer, and then we haul it to Gray Wolf Waste Management as a solid. So you can kind of see our truck fill station over there. But this is where all of our effluent basically comes out, just right down there. The leftover water that we don't use here goes through this berm and comes out here. It's called our evaporation area. And so that basically is only about 3 to 4 inches deep out there, but the ducks love, and the geese when they're here in the season, you know. So a few months ago, we'd have hundreds of geese out here, the ducks too, so they're migratory. The pump over here, that's our temporary pump that feeds the water to the sprinkler system for the grass to grow at the park right now. And that comes out into you can kind of see the orange humps out there. That's our piping to get to that. Once we fill up the pond up there, which is 10 million gallons approximately, once we fill that up and we don't need it to be filled anymore, it'll come out here to the evaporation basins.
We're trying to get A+ water and basically try to clean what comes in. As much as we have coming in, we have more actually leaving the plant, for effluent, basically. And then this is the chlorine samples of pH testing of our samples, and chlorine also for same as chlorine is in it and stuff. And then this is one of our turbidity meters that we test with, and turbidity is basically like how thick is the water, what kind of darkness or solids are in your water is what your turbidity is usually. And then this is how we put our filters on here, and they eventually turn into like these here. And this is our influent sample, and it puts all the TSS, total suspended solids, onto the filter. Then we'll weigh it and see how much we have for each sample, how much solids we have there. And I actually have to test this sample, or weigh it, I'm sorry. It sits in the oven for an hour and looks like that, the disc. And then the heaviest sample that we have goes in the bigger oven that's at 550 degrees. And that's what we have here. So 7. We also have from our AB sample, which is this one here. We take some of that out and put it on the microscope, and we look at bugs. And depending on what kind of bugs we have, tells how old the sludge is. If there's a lot of the 4s in there, 3s and 4s, that we see in the microscope, there's pretty old sludge. But these samples, why they're composite, is they sit overnight, 24 hours in the jug. And these ones here are their grab samples, which they come right out of the plant right as soon as we get here. And like our effluent, this is like pretty good water here. It looks like you can drink it, but you're not supposed to drink it. And then you got composite sample here, because it goes in some of our testings. That's from the composite sample jug. And then our buffer to zero it out, and then the grab sample is also here. And then we have our influent sample that we make your cookie out of. And AB samples aeration basin, that's what we also make cookies out of. And this one here it's from the same area, the grab sample, but then we put it in the jug here for 1,000 milliliter, and we time it how fast it drops. For every 5 minutes we take our reading of where it's at, and it goes down there basically. But our AB sample here, that's your fecal, that's your everything, blood, needles, everything you can think of in the wastewater. So that's definitely not something you want to mess with either. So it's all liquid, so it stays live. It doesn't get dried out, so it's all living, and the cross contamination is not good there. Okay, this is one of our glass beakers with an AB sample on the aeration basin, and it's got a magnetic pill in there. Like that. That helps it spin on this plate here. So you just mix it up. There it goes. And then from here, once it's mixed, we'll pour it into this here for 100 milliliters of liquid, and then that goes on top of the filter. One of these filters here. For our TSS, total suspended solids. And once we pour that into here, then this goes right on top of here, and there'll be a filter down here already wet with distilled water, and that's on top to make sure nothing spills out the sides of it. And we get a good filter there. Then take this off and put the filter in the oven like that, like I was showing before. Here's our influent sample of 100 milliliters of the influent solution, and then bake that for an hour, and then get the weight on them. And that gives us our TSS of our samples, the total suspended solids. Normal, maybe weight between 3,100 and 3,400 is about normal grams. Yeah, because a lot of times we have big organizations, like big things going on in town, like the festivals and stuff like that, and we get a whole lot of people here. So of course our sludge is going to be going up. So our numbers may adjust 100, 200, 300 more or less than what the normal numbers are. Yeah, we have to report to ADQ, and all of our information goes in the computer, and we save the paper copy, and obviously in the computer we save that also.
This is the information we use to basically make any adjustments we need to do at the plant. With these numbers, we determine if we need to turn our wasting on or off, which I'll show you later in our tour outside what we do. But it tells us where our ammonia is at, our nitrates are at, our TSS, which you went over a little bit, and that sort of thing, which are the things we need to report to Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, ADEQ, and we have to do that on a every 3 months, quarterly. We have to do the SMRF, we call it, self-monitoring report form that we have to turn into them, and they use that to monitor us, basically. We do monthly tests, which we did this morning with our wells, because we have 2 sample wells to make sure we're not contaminating the groundwater. We did that this morning, so there's tests that we do on a monthly basis and on a quarterly basis as well. But this information is what we use basically to monitor and to run our plant. And by our permit with ADEQ, we have to do this every day, 365 days a year. Christmas, New Year's does not matter. Thanksgiving, there's someone out here doing a lab work. So and that takes, like Justin said, 2.5 to 3 hours minimum per day. That's where it all starts, right there, the headworks. That's what you're looking at right there, is the influent coming into the plant itself from the headworks. So this, you can see the screen turning right down through there. That's our headworks auger. All that grit and gravel and paper come up, and then it comes down this chute and goes into a dumpster right there. And this is our annex selector, we call it, right here. The water comes in, and we pick which side of the plant it goes to. We're only using half of the plant, so everything goes to the south side. It goes through that gate right there. See, the other gate is closed. And this is what we call first stage over here with all the white bubbles. And you want a milk chocolate color of the sludge with the white crispy foam, which you can see we have. So that's a sign of a good operation on the plant. You can kind of see the piping and the pipes that go down with the little 4 outlets on it. We pump air through those filters. And then you can kind of see the hole in the concrete over there. So it goes from first stage to second stage and then comes into the clarifier. And you can see all the piping in the clarifier over there. So this is our second stage. So the waste goes from that section to this section. Now this section is on. It's on for 3 hours and then it's off for 3 hours. While it's off, you can actually see the little bubbles come up, and it's called denitrification. What's happening is the bugs need the air to survive. When they turn the air off for those 3 hours, to survive, they eat each other. So they eat each other because each bug has oxygen in it. So they become cannibal for those 3 hours. And when that's happening, it denitrifies. So that's what we call our denitrification section. Right now it's on, and then you can hear that going every so often. That's our RAS from the clarifier returning to the plant.
I mean, it's amazing seeing this stuff. You wouldn't think that would be nice, but the bugs you see in there, I mean, because I've never seen before working here, and I never knew that it was inside of you, but it's inside all of us. But that's probably my favorite part of the job.
Justin loves the bugs. The bugs do most of the work out here, the bugs in the air. We feed the bugs air, and we call it cheeseburgers. I'll show you, it's a biochemical. Our water coming in doesn't have enough food in it to keep them active, so we supplement that with a biochemical. And there's only 2 in the whole state that's like this one, Arizona and Duncan. Extended air Armada is what it's called. The wastewater coming in is 99.8% water. Isn't that amazing? That 0.02 is solids, what we call solids, that's the poop. But out of that 2%, 80% of it is settleable. So this settles to the bottom, that's why we razz. And the rest of it is non-settleable, so it floats to the top. So that's why we skim it off the top. And you can see Alex over there with the skidster. That's our concrete drying areas, and he's over there stirring that, mixing that up on a daily basis. We do that. So this is our return water. All the water we use here comes from our effluent. There's a plant well, or plant, we call it plant well right there, and that, or plant water, and that's all the water, the effluent water. We keep that vault constantly full. That pump turns on and off as we use it at the hydrant. See the purple hydrant right there behind you? That comes from plant water. So we also, when that's full and we're still returning water, we return it through here too, and that meters how much water we're putting back into the plant. This little guy, this came in through someone's toilet. So we have things like this all over the place. This is a sampling station right here. This is that 24-hour composite jug that Justin showed me, showed you guys, comes through here. See, it's fairly empty. This is our influent. See how much water's in there right now? That's from this morning at 6 o'clock. It samples every 15 minutes. That's why they call it a composite. So in the 24-hour period, you're getting 15 minutes, every 15 minutes you're getting the sample. We have a meter here for our influent. It's coming from that meter over there, but that's where the actual head station is. It tells us how many gallons we're getting on a timely basis and how many thousands of gallons a day. About 270,000 gallons a day. And that's grown from when I first started here, we were barely over 100,000 gallons a day. So we've more than doubled in 7 years. This is our influent station. So the water that comes from those weirs with all the little holes in it comes to here, into this vault right here. And then we have pumps, we have 2 pumps down there, 1 and 2, they're numbered on those 90s right there, and that pumps us to our filter system.
On the job training, I think is the most part, and then eventually if you want to get a certification in something, that's when you have to go to a gateway, or even Yavapai College has stuff for this, through Yavapai College or gateway. But I'm not sure. I guess they would call wastewater treatment maybe would be the class for that. But in my position, I don't have any schooling to be here. But they got lucky, got the right wording, I guess, and got the job. Because like me, I can read something out of the textbook, and the next day, and forget it, you know. And then maybe not forget the whole thing, but most of it will be forgotten. But if I do it hands-on, I remember it forever. It's just the way it is for me.
Most of it's going to be hands-on. Probably 85% of it's going to be hands-on. The math and the science part just kind of gives you a base to get started, and you're going to use that on a daily basis. The math every day. There's math on these sheets. That you look at the bottom here, there's formulas, and that's what we do on a daily basis. So, but the math and the science is the biggest part of it. So there's no art to it, just the basics of it and knowing what you're trying to do. Like you said, the clean water. We use this, we've had A+ water for over a year now, and that's what we use to feed the park, to grow the grass out there for the kids to play on. So we just got our A+ permit in November of last year so that we can actually now allow the kids to play in the park. We were producing A+ water long before that, but you have to have your permit in place so you can actually let the kids play on the grass, so, which we have. So, and we can also sell it to the public for dust control, that sort of thing, construction water. We call this our polishing room, basically, but we call it our UV filter building too. So, but that's from the effluent pump station right here. It comes over and goes up and into the building. That's where it comes into the filter body. This right behind me is a sample. This is what a filter is. So you have the water out here. It has to penetrate this filter and fills up to this tube right here, which you can see in there. It's above, the water level is above that tube. And then from that tube, it comes into this water right here. You can see these 5 flows right here, that's where the water comes through. These are the vacuum blades. You can see the vacuum head right there. That's what goes around. You can kind of see the pattern. That's what goes around and vacuums this thing clean. So, and there's arms on there that are attached to this that the chain pulls around. You can see the 5 chambers here. And then there's switches, toggle switches for each one of them right here. Wiring underneath there. It's pretty dirty right now. You can tell we're not using it, so, but so this is our display panel. It gives us our hours that we've used it, that sort of thing. And the intensity of the bulbs when it's in use, which it's not right now, so it's not gonna really show you. But you can see the 0 right there, UV. So it's this side's not on right now. This is our filter system. It's got our valves. This is the coming in. These are our pumps and our valves to do our vacuuming. They're color coordinated. It's pretty cool when they actually work and they turn on. This will turn green. The valve that opens will turn green, and it shows you what it's doing. This is our turbidity right here. Shows you our level of turbidity, which comes off of that meter right there. But you can see everything's green right now, which is good. So we're under our permit level of a 0.2 or 2.0. So, but we do get these, they'll go off and these will turn red. So we have to be below a 2. We're at a 1.45 right now, which is good. So, and then our turbidity, our UV level right here, this UV intensity, that shows you the clarity of that water as well. So, and that's got to go, that's what helps establish how intense the bulbs are. Those valves and stuff are for a bypass. When we burp and stuff, that valve will open. The valve on the outside of the building will open and the water will go completely around the building so we don't get any yucky water. Because when we burp that and we flush that and it mixes it, we don't want that stuff blinding those filters over. So we do that. So, but you can see the water comes in, you can kind of take a picture of all of these. This is our contact chambers. We're pumping chlorine, bleach into it basically. And you can see this little tube right here. So this is a temporary thing. When we get those chlorinator and dechlorinators in, the chlorinator will hook up right here. So we'll be chlorinating here and dechlorin down there. So, because what you chlorinate, you have to dechlorinate. But we have to dechlorinate it so that we're not killing our fish when we put out our park. And you don't want kids playing in bleach water. So, no. So this is our contact. You can kind of see the bubblies in here. That's from the bleach. We buy 600 gallons every other month or so of bleach, maybe more. Before we got that running right, we were buying a lot of bleach, which is very expensive. So it comes in, goes out, comes in, goes out. We kind of zigzag through the whole contact chamber thing. Probably the most rewarding part is being able to get out and be in the community and see things that need to be taken care of and actually getting them taken care of, which we're in the process of doing. This system is right at 38 years old, so there's a lot of deterioration, and we've gotten some money to take care of some of that. And so actually getting out there and fixing things and seeing that actually happen is a great reward. So, and it's served the community besides, you know, being rewarding to myself. You get to satisfy other people, and to see that is a great reward. The most stressful part of it, actually there's not that much stressful. I had my own business for 16 years, and so even the budget part of it isn't that bad to me because it's not my money. When it was my own company, it was my money, and I would freak out. So that part of it is probably the most stressful part of it, the budget part of it, but it's still nothing compared to having my own business before. So this is our mixing chamber right here. It's got poly. We pump out of those blue tubs right there by you into here, and it pumps it through all this hose and piping stuff, and it goes into the belt press room. Our sludge comes in from the digester, which I'll show you in a little bit. Right here, it goes through. That poly is introduced to it. It comes through this thing, comes through here, back down, and then it comes out up there. It comes out right there, and then you can see where it separates up there. There's a T up there, and it goes on both sides. It comes through this, helps mix it, and then you can see it drop out right here. It goes through these drums. You can see the water coming off of it right there. That's where it's squishing most of the water out of it. So it goes through that. So that's the sludge. That's the stuff you see up on the concrete drying beds. That's the stuff that's got 80% moisture in it. But that actually feels pretty good. It's not too wet. So that auger takes it out and it goes into the dump truck right outside behind you. So we fill this up. It takes about an hour to an hour and a half to fill up that truck. That's so we can do another pile in the back of the pile. We get more truckload that way.
Yeah.
We move it. So it basically, once we fill it up, we put it up here to our drying beds. So he basically dumps it out over there. Then we take the skidster and we spread it. So we take it from over there and pile it here, which is what he was mixing up a while ago. So in the wintertime, when you're out here mixing it, changing it around, you can actually see the steam coming off of it. It's like, because the internal combustion of it, it's like, it's hot enough, it creates its own warmth. This is the side that's going to the belt press right now. At the bottom of this right here is the outlet that comes into this vault that I'm standing on, the lid here, and it goes out and around and goes to the belt press. So that's the stuff that's coming out of the belt press. But that poly keeps it from being like this and running out, because if it went like that on the belt, it would run right off of it. It'd just be a mess in there. But that poly coagulates it so it can be on that belt and squished. So now see the blue floats? That's our MacGyvering. That's Russ. So we put those, you can see on both ends of those floats, there's pumps hanging. See the conduit or the unistrut going across, and there's pumps on each side? That's Russ's idea, and we started using it. And so, because we just had them at the end of the pipes going down there, so we could only what we call decant, because we pump the supernate off of these. Not this side right now because it's mixing, but the other side we're decanting, and it pumps the good water. It's not on top, not on the bottom, to the plant. And so we just had them down so we could only go so far every day, and it'd get all yucky, so we had to turn it off. These work great compared to what it used to. So this is the metering part of the headworks. It comes through, goes through that meter right there, but this is the head of it right here, so you can see your numbers. And then there's a card slot. This is just a card machine to open up the valves so the haulers can be serviced. If you look down there, see how there's no air on it, so it's not mixing? Now see the water coming out of the pipes over there on the side? That's the supernate. We call it, that's supernate. So that's the water that's being pumped out of here, is going through all these, and coming out there. You wouldn't think it would be that clean, huh? You can kind of see where the level was. See that line across there? That's where it was this morning. We've pumped off that much water so far today. Wasting is controlled right here, and then all these switches control our air to what tanks we want them to. And this is the amount, the blower. We have two blowers here, 6 and 7. So this selects what side we're taking our waste to, the north or the south. This does our digest valve, which is in those vaults, so we know which one we're sending to the belt press. This tells you if you have air on or not. So this is kind of the heart of the head of the hauler station, basically, the controller part of it. So when all these balls are green, everything's good. When one of them's yellow or red, something's bad. We service a little over 1,100 people actually are hooked up to our system. It's growing by leaps and bounds right now. You see the new development down there behind the Verde Valley Medical Center and all that. All that's brand new. The RV park on this side of the highway is all brand new. So we are growing. There are a lot of places that have their own wells and their own septic tanks that are outside the sewer district itself. Within 2 years, not only will it be engineered, but we should be doing the construction and hooking those people up. Out to where Out of Africa is out as well, down 260 corridor. That's the biggest push.
You may first, like a younger kid from high school may think, oh, poopy, it's gonna be gross, but I don't know if he can smell anything. I can't smell anything on the plant anymore. When I first came out for my tour, I'm on the catwalk right above, you know, the stuff, and couldn't smell a thing. It's not gross at all, so don't get that out of your head right away. But the stuff you learn here can really be beneficial later on. It's really good stuff.
Once you get a certification, it's an ABC certification. Those certifications are used in 48 of the 50 states. You can go anywhere and apply for a job and you have that cert and they typically will hire you. So once you get in and get certified, it's a great career. Once you get a certification, you get a raise, you can get many certifications, you can get up to 2 certifications a year, so you can get basically a couple $1 hour raise in 2 years, or in a year. That's pretty good. The math, you need some math background, some science background. That's where I failed with the science. I didn't really pay attention when I was in high school at science, and that's kicking me in the butt a little bit. But we have books, as you see over here, to do all the studying you can do if you want. But we use a lot of chemistry with our, labs and stuff, and with the testing. So, but it's a great career, and it doesn't smell bad, although contrary to the popular belief. So.